What's up?
Billy Stark's intro.
Yes. Hello, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there. I don't know why I'm talking in a Cockney accent, but I am because it is late and we're all a little bit mad here in the BC WrestlePod land. But hello, all of you, my lovely folks who decided to be night owls and stay up with us. And welcome to a live rendition of the Collision Collective and the Cleanup Crew review. This is the third or fourth week in a row I've lost count of another 3-hour block of AEW programming. And this week, it happened to be Collision and Rampage. Spoiler alert, Collision and Rampage will also be another 3-hour block next week. But we will not be there to review it. More on that at the end of this review. But I am one of the hosts for both Collision Collective and the Cleanup Crew, Mikey, also known as El Jefe around these parts. I am the man with half a plan and a face that kind of runs the place. And joining me, as always, is my hermano in arms, my brother, my AEW Rampage and Collision husbando, stealing him from Alice for a little bit. But Adolfo, also known as the Second, my friend, thank you so much for staying up late.
Of course.
It's like 1 o'clock.
Of course.
It's 1 o'clock for you in the morning right now.
Yeah, it's cool. It's stick now.
This is the After Dark podcast. I got the lighting. Right. We're ready to go.
Right?
It's about to get sexy up in here. And by sexy, I mean talking about wrestling.
Yep. I mean, we did have Dalton Castle.
Yes, the Vapors is fantastic. I will say, before we break down Collision and Rampage, bit by bit, I have to say, the last couple of weeks, I've been kind of wanting more from Collision and Rampage because it seems that we kind of just been coasting a little bit. And dare I say it, Adolfo, I think this 3-hour block actually kind of got back to why I love Collision and Rampage to begin with.
Yeah, it felt like after the last pay-per-view, Collision more than Rampage. I mean, Rampage has always kind of been loosey-goosey, dare we say, even though, it has had storylines. It's still rather loosey-goosey, but both the shows have just been seeming like they've been spinning their wheels in the mud, as it were, since the last pay-per-view. But this week, it felt like they kind of like took the sledgehammer and jammed everything back on course, because it felt like about 95% of the matches and the promos all had a meaning and all had some sort of weight to them. So it was good. I was definitely like it.
Absolutely. And we are going to dive right in. We're just going to go head straight first in, and let's just do this. So we're going to start with Collision because that's what we got first this evening. Yep. We got the 2-hour block of Collision, then our 1-hour block of Rampage shortly after. And Collision opens up with a really fun tag team match where we see Blackpool Combat Club, which is being represented by Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli, taking on Top Flight of Darius and Dante Martin.
What a fun match. Holy crap. It was really, even the Bryan Danielson technical stuff when he comes in and he does the hand grabs and all that. Even that seemed different and more lively. Shout out to the Vancouver, Canada, yet again another international crowd that just was phenomenal. And I feel like the wrestlers, the performers felt it, so it was definitely that the crowd was giving them energy and then they were giving that back. And then, so you had that symbiotic thing. But yeah, the match was really good. Top Flight, really, the Blackpool Combat Club was more, with Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli, they were more technical than brute force that you'll see like when Mox is there or when Wheeler is there. But they were a little bit more technical, but Top Flight really impressed because they rose to the occasion and matched that technicality. And it was a very lively, very energetic, very fun first match of the night. Told a great story. It was good. We did get Blackpool Combat Club did come in with the win, and then Bryan Danielson took the mic afterwards and had some words, which we saw something very interesting though. Because as Bryan Danielson said words, Claudio just like beat feet.
Well, and we're going to talk about Claudio a little bit because I found his promo at the start of Rampage very interesting when he gave it. I will say Dante had my move of this entire match, that giant frog splash from the top of how much height he got onto Claudio for a near 2 fall, like a 2 count. Like, that was baller. But I also like Danielson's promo because we do have to build up, because on Dynamite, as we learned, him and the King of the Bums himself, Eddie Kingston, who were once a couple pay-per-views ago, are now teaming up with FTR to defend AEW's honor against the Elite in this Anarchy in the Arena match at Double or Nothing. So that should be fun. And then from Fightful and some other news outlets, we learned that Danielson's AEW contract is up just a little bit before All In at the Wembley show. And Danielson says that he will stay on, and he would actually love to kind of wrap up whatever he's got going on. And he actually would like his final pay-per-view match for AEW and for his career to be in Washington at Wrestle Dream in October this year.
Oh, that clam dig.
It hasn't dawned on me yet that I forget that Danielson did say he's going to retire by the end of this year. So we've had Sting retire this year, and now we're going to have Danielson retire. It's going to be, it's crazy right now.
Yeah. And even Claudio said words to that effect, that this is Danielson's last year. So, I think that he's making the most out of his time, though. This match tonight definitely is, in my opinion, a great example of that, where he wrestled against younger upcoming stars and put them over, but at the same time didn't, looked like he knew, like he knew what he was doing, and didn't have that like old, almost retired wrestler thing of just kind of like stumbling around and letting the other person kind of carry the weight. So it was good. It's a good match. Good first match. Definitely very energetic. Loved it.
And definitely set the tone for the rest of the evening, because they just didn't let up on the gas, because we cut to commercial, and then when we come back, we head straight into our next match. Thank you for fixing the issues that I've had for the last couple collisions, where we get a match, then like 30 minutes of promos, and then we get another match. So I feel like they fixed the pacing issue a little bit at the start of this week. And when we get back from commercial, they're like, oh yeah, we're just going to put on this banger of a match, because next we have Will Ospreay taking on Tiger Style himself, Lee Moriarty. I wasn't ready for how great this was.
It wasn't another Will Ospreay epic wrestling match, but that's fine. He doesn't have to go out each time he enters the ring, an AEW ring. He does not need to put on a 5-star banger. You know what I mean? And this match is a perfect example of that. It was super entertaining. It was well put together. It was told a great story. We had great spots, not only from Will Ospreay, but from Lee Moriarty. But also from Lee Moriarty. They both worked really well together. I think maybe there was one spot that looked like it might have been a bit of a botch, but they worked so well together that they covered it super fast. Dare I say that the only bad part about this match was Roddy on commentary.
I was gonna say that's my only critique I have with this whole entire match, is not necessarily having the Undisputed Kingdom out there, but Roddy on commentary. I'm like, Roddy, I love you. I love your in-ring work, but the mic skills are still not there. It's like you are fighting to have a character, my friend, and it is still not working. And it was during the whole entire commentary, which I was like, I love it, because we're continuing to tell the story that the Tiger Driver is a dangerous move. Will doesn't want to use it, but who knows? You might want to pull it out against Roddy during their match at Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
But then Shane Taylor lays Will Ospreay out too.
Yeah.
It's like, there we go. Give this man some heat. That's what we need for Shane Taylor Promotions.
Yep. And then the Undisputed Kingdom comes slithering in and
like vultures picking out what's left.
It was a good match.
It was good. And we're probably gonna be saying a lot of that over the next however long we're doing this 3-hour block review, because this was a lot of good wrestling. And like Vancouver, thank you so much, because Edmonton let me down, let me and JBL down when we did Dynamite. It was horrible. And thank you, Vancouver, for being a little bit better. So we get a quick segment recapping Mercedes Moné doing her thing at a Red Sox game, which is cool and everything. My critique still stands from Dynamite as well as the last couple of weeks. I love Mercedes Moné. We still need to work on some, promo skills, because it's the same thing every week. And I don't think we're going to see her in the ring until Double or Nothing.
No.
And it's kind of hurting the story we're trying to tell between her and Willow. The history is there from what happened last year when they fought to become the inaugural New Japan Strong Women's Champion, where Mercedes got hurt in the middle of the match and then called an audible to have Willow win. But I want I want Mercedes to be in the ring beforehand, but we're not going to get it. So I like Mercedes. I'm happy to return, but I feel, and I'm going to repeat what I said on Dynamite here, I feel that we pulled the trigger too early for her to pop up on AEW television. We probably should have waited until after Willow won the title at Dynasty and then have Mercedes come out to be her challenger at Double or Nothing, which would have been great, but
Do we know if Mercedes is still rehabbing from her injuries?
I don't know so much as rehabbing. I do know that she's been training with oh my gosh, why am I Miyu Yamashita from New Japan and whatnot in the ring the last couple of weeks. So she's training in the ring, but as far as what I could find, I haven't found anything that reports indicate she was still not 100%.
Right. Or has she been on different filming locations and that's why she hasn't been able to get in a ring?
I mean, that could also be the case too. But regardless, it's kind of tough when Willow is consistently on AEW television, both backstage promos and in-ring stuff. Like, I just want to put this out there. Her match against Sky Blue last week was baller fire.
Go back and watch that match. That was a ridiculous match.
Y'all need to go check that out, because that match was fire, and I was so mad I wasn't there to review it. But duty calls. But I love Mercedes, but we need to start changing directions, because it's the same thing every week. So then we get into a squash match of sorts, where this is a trios match of Mogul Embassy. So the Swolverine himself, Brian Cage, the Vapors were there for both of us. The Gates of Agony. Yeah. Gates of Agony taking on the local talent / jobber team of Evan Rivers and the Voros twins. This is what it was. The Mogul Embassy dominated, destroyed their opponents.
What was up with the twins and the MC Hammer bubblegum colored pants? What was up with that?
I don't know, but I kind of want those pants now.
Dude, they look like they look like Wish King Boo.
Not Wish King Boo.
Yeah, the two of them look like Wish King Boo. Anyway, squash match. Mogul Embassy and Brian Cage came out and they do what they do best, which then they got destroyed, because then we had Swerve sneaky out. His music hits and Brian Cage gets all, and he jumps out of the ring, and Swerve sneaks up behind
Bishop Khan, chokes him out with that.
Yeah, with a chain.
And then Toa goes over the top rope, and then Swerve ensues to destroy everybody and everything.
Yep.
And then Toa gets involved, and then the Steel Steps got involved. Ultimately, Swerve single-handedly got rid of the Gates of Agony. So on this upcoming episode of Dynamite on Wednesday, we are getting a AEW World Championship Eliminator match between Swerve and the Swolverine himself, Brian Cage. That match is going to be fantastic. I cannot wait for that.
I will be 100% honest. I'm actually digging and interested to see this Mogul Embassy story of hunting Nana down and going after him and being like, why have you forsaken us type thing, because that just seems to be the angle that Toa and the Gates of Agony are going with, which I dig. I know that Toa, he's been, every time the camera, well, not every time, but most of the time when the camera cuts to him, he's like, Nana, so yeah, I'm definitely, I hope they explore it just a little bit more, because
I hope so too.
you know, because and I like seeing the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage on TV more than, you know, more than just like doing their goofy matches that they have been doing in recent months. So
yeah, I am excited for the match on Dynamite. I hope that we continue to present Mogul Embassy as this force, because we definitely need some trios regardless of the division for sure. But we go from here, we go to commercial, we come back, and we kind of get a small continuation, because then Swerve is by himself backstage, and we're kind of seeing Swerve get back to his more heel persona, where now he tried to do it the right way. He tried to be the people's champion, and he's still the people's champion, but now he's about to go full, you know, I'm going to destroy you, and I'm going to come get you, and I'm going to shake you down like you owe me lunch money, because this is whose house?
The only way they are going to make people the only way that Swerve is going to be not Healy is if they put him up against someone that is like more hated, like when Adam Page was in the picture, right? And like at first you had Swerve like lest we forget they did that whole thing where Swerve broke into Adam Page's house and, you know, and made threats over his sleeping child.
That was old, and so that was a wild time. And yeah, it was fun to watch you and JVL kind of discuss that in length, because I couldn't be there for that review, but I was listening to that review.
But then the funny thing a funny thing happened on the way to the forum, and that's that Swerve all of a sudden, like Adam Page kind of does this like crazy Adam Page hook, and Swerve, even for doing all that evil shit, like he comes out with the fans loving him. So I mean, you know, that's the only way that he'll be a full heel again, is if they find someone that's more heely than him.
That is very, very true. And honestly, I think this is a good move on AEW and Swerve's part. And I think Swerve is a fantastic champion, but I always did wonder if it would hurt him if he, since becoming champion, if he would lose that edge, because, you know, the wrestling fandom likes to turn on people quicker than, you know,
I mean, that's true.
Anything else. But I can ascertain, and I think that even with this kind of more passion and this edge to Swerve, I still fully think that him as this kind of like intense face is going to be fantastic. So I think Swerve always is considered to kind of be a tweener, so he's in between, but right now he's leaning more towards the face angle, but he still has those heel tendencies, because now he's coming after Brian Cage. And like I said, I'm excited for this match on Wednesday. It's gonna be good.
It's almost as if he swerves
when he drives. I miss Nana on my screen.
That's right. We're going to see him this upcoming week.
We go from doing the Nana dance to the Daniel Garcia dance, because we then get Daniel Garcia taking on local talent KM, also known as Kevin Matthews. This was
big
a
boy.
Little bit. It was
big boy. KM was.
I was just like, I was like, okay, you know, because Daniel Garcia walks in front of KM to get to inside the ring and everything. I was like, oh, okay. And then once Daniel Garcia got out the way and I saw the frame of this man, I was like,
yeah,
oh, this is gonna be interesting. And interesting it was. This was a little bit more than a squash match, but at the end of the day, it only went for a couple of minutes, and Daniel Garcia gets the win. Daddy Magic on commentary for Rampage and Collision is actually really, really fantastic.
Yeah, and he plays really he plays really well against Nigel. You know, I kind of wish he would just kind of to commentary Daddy Magic, because I enjoy him when he's on commentary. So,
but Daniel Garcia racks up a win.
Yep.
I'm hoping that we start to utilize Daniel Garcia more, because I feel that after he lost to Christian Cage at Revolution, we've kind of like been kind of just having him there and navigating him to whatever this is. So hopefully post Double or Nothing, we can see Daniel Garcia get back into the limelight, because he's an incredible talent, and I want to see him utilized more than just, you know, having squash matches.
Yeah, either that or and it doesn't necessarily have to be a title story, but just some more concrete storyline, because yeah, he's just it seems like they're just tossing him out there to be like, hey, don't forget Daniel Garcia is still a thing, you know. And it's like, okay, let's give him a story, let's give him something, you know.
Or if we're going to have him come out here and face a talent, have him face a more like established local talent, because that's exactly what the next match did. Because I knew Dax was going to win this match. He's the AEW person in here. However, by the end of this match, I was so impressed and I love this. So we get Dax Hardwood taking on Tommy Billington, who is the nephew of the Dynamite Kid, which is crazy. So once again, we're seeing a generational.
I thought he was the son of the Dynamite Kid, nephew of Owen Hart.
No, because commentary, at least from the feed that I was watching, Nigel said that this was the nephew of Dynamite Kid.
I'm gonna fact check. You tell.
Adolfo's gonna fact check it, but regardless, though, he does that. We do have Tommy Billington have the moniker of the Dynamite Kid, so regardless of how he's related, he has that moniker, and he took on Dax Hardwood tonight. This was a fantastic match. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, that match had no right to be as good as it was, and it was good. It was old school, at least to me. It felt like some old school WWF Saturday night main event match going on. It was good. You know, I was really, and yeah, I am fact checking right now, and it looks like he is the nephew.
Okay.
Yeah, the Dynamite Kid was good. He was really good, and you know, it was almost spooky.
There were shades of Owen Hart during this match. I was just like, this is true Canadian legacy in this ring right now.
Yeah, but it was. And, you know, for being his first match, it flowed so seamlessly. He worked so well with Dax. Again, there were a few areas that seemed a little bit rough, but they covered it super fast. You know, yeah, I hope that we start getting more push for the Dynamite Kid and we start seeing him more on our screens, because, you know, he's definitely a good find. And if Dax Harwood might have gotten the 1-2-3 win, but the Dynamite Kid got the overall win for the night in this match.
Oh, absolutely. The crowd was loving him.
Yeah.
And before we move on to the next thing, to kind of just summarize all this, it makes me really, really happy as a wrestling fan that in 2024, that for as long as we've been watching wrestling, some of us here have been watching it for a few years, some of us have been watching wrestling all our lives, but in the year of 2024, it makes me really happy to see what I call the legacies kind of make their way into these promotions. So children or, you know, young relatives of these legends, like you have Tommy Billington, nephew of the Dynamite Kid. You have, even though I want to see him more, Nick Wayne, whose dad on the independent scene was great. Over in other promotions like Zaya Brookside, her dad's a big UK wrestler too. You have Braun Breaker in WWE, who is a Steiner kid. You just have a bunch of these young kids who have legacies kind of make their way. And I'm super excited. Like, if this is what the next generation of the wrestling business is going to look like, I'm really excited to see where in the next 4 to 5 years, where all these kids end up and what they do with their careers. Because I think it's going to be fantastic. It's really, really cool. So we get a quick, like, kind of recap promo package. So this happened after Dynamite, where we're backstage with the Elite. And, like, no build up, no quick talking. And then the match, Okada just straight up is like, I'm going to fight you next week. And then just leaves. Leaves.
So the promo that they cut, supposedly it happened immediately after Dynamite went off the air. So this is after they had their little Donnybrook with Danielson, Kingston,
and
Dax,
FTR,
and and FTR.
But Okada's going to be facing Dax next week on Dynamite, and I was like, again, Dax just keeps having bangers. Like, this is going to be a great match. Right. And then I was reminded that Okada and Dax have never crossed paths before. I was like, really? All right, well, sign me up. This is going to be great. And then I love this this like Marvel level as civil war between Team Elite and Team AEW. And I'm hoping that what happens next is that we just expand all the roster and we just get like a big big civil war where half the roster is on the Elite side and half the roster is on Team AEW side. It's going to be fantastic for sure.
Yeah. So, and that was what precipitated the
Christopher Daniels promo.
The Christopher Daniels promo is that supposedly because he got in the EVP's face on Wednesday, his penance that they're making him do is that he has to wrestle them, and that's so he's going in there with Matt's side. But yeah, it's I hope that they are able to string this story of the EVPs and the Elite for a few more months, if not like through 2024 into 2025, because you're right, it is good. I've really been entertained, not that I love, but I've really been entertained the last few AEW shows where the Young Bucks have been in the producers of the show, because Tony Khan can't be there because he's not cleared to fly, quote unquote. So it's been good, and I did not like the Young Bucks previously when they were face Young Bucks. I'm really enjoying heel Jack Perry. So this is good.
It was, and we continue this good feeling because I was really happy to see this next match get some time, because my biggest complaint and all our biggest complaints right now with AEW is not utilizing their women's roster to their full ability. And I'm still have issue that this was the only women's match on Collision that we got tonight. But this was given a little bit of time. We had Thunder herself taking on Robin Renegade. For those of us who cover ROH and the rest of the BC WrestlePod boys, love the Renegade twins. We still are looking for answers as to what happened with Charlotte, especially Jesse. So Renegade twins, if you ever watch this video, make sure to mention Mr. Jesse, because we're all worried about you, but he's worried about you guys as well, as the number one Renegade fan here on the BC WrestlePod. This was a really, really fun match.
Yeah,
I think and granted, Thunder has more years of experience under her belt than Robin does, but honestly, I feel that this is probably Robin's best match within the last couple of months that I've seen, and she keeps improving every time she's on the screen, which goes to show you that Thunder is also really good of making her opponents also look really, really strong too. Because Robin got a lot more offense than I anticipated, and I'm kind of happy this didn't end up being a squash match between the two.
Yeah, when I saw Thunder Rosa was going up against Robin Renegade, I was like, oh, here we go, another ROH cannon fodder coming down the pipe. But there were a few moments in this match that I was like, is Thunder actually going to lose to Robin Renegade? Thunder Rosa did get the win, but it was a really well fought match, really told a good story and kept your attention. There were no moments that made me want to look away or that I felt like I could look away. I actually got angry at picture in picture when they went to picture in picture, because I was like, I cannot fully see what the fuck is going on. So
they need to pick better matches to do picture-in-picture from, because this has been my biggest complaint with all the promotions this week. They picked the wrong matches to go in picture-in-picture, and they don't pick the right matches to do picture-in-picture, and then they let the wrong matches not go in picture-in-picture.
Yep, exactly.
I was so mad. But like we said, La Meta Meta picks up the victory here. And we're continuing to rack up wins, because this will not be the last we see of Thunder later this evening, because she'll make an appearance over on Rampage
with a steel chair.
Yes, ooh. It's so fantastic. We cut backstage where we have the best couple in AEW ROH Cinematic Universe possible. If you have not checked Taya and Johnny TV's series on YouTube, y'all need to go watch that, because it is camp. It is ridiculous. It's out of control, but it is such a smart thing, and it's so creative. I love it so much. But this
and the episodes, they're only like 5-8 minutes long. They're super short. They're really good. They're really, really good.
I was like, I love seeing wrestlers being given creative control to put themselves over, and that's what this 10-part miniseries of skits and everything that happened with the Mr. and Mrs. TV. That's exactly what it did.
Yep.
But this backstage promo ultimately sets up that Johnny TV and Pac are going to have a match on Rampage. And that is a combination I did not know I wanted until we actually saw it. And then when that exited Johnny TV's lips that he was going to fight Pac, I'm like, oh, now you have me intrigued. Let's see how this match goes on Rampage. So then another interesting thing is we get a pre-tape video package of Hook, recapping everything that has gone down in the, Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, Black Void. I want to establish something for all our new watchers who are tuning into this live stream. I can only speak for myself, but I also, Adolfo and I have had multiple conversations about this. And in fact, our dislike and our annoyance with the Learning Tree Chris Jericho has stemmed all the way back in December. Like, it is ridiculous of how much we dislike the black hole that is Chris Jericho and all the people who get thrown into it.
Yeah.
But Hook is basically coming for Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho better be ready because all hell's gonna break loose. But before we continue to talk about that, I see this comment from our homie here. Yes, I can't wait for the day they do Ospreay versus Pac. I am going to need a towel. I'm going to need a cigarette afterwards because on paper, I will need all sorts of crazy stuff because that match is going to be baller and it's going to be fantastic. Unlike what we're getting with the Learning Tree, because I hate this storyline. I want Chris Jericho to go away, but unfortunately, he's going to continue to be on my screen. So I'm kind of rooting for Hook to kick some major ass.
Yeah,
in whatever capacity it is. And hopefully Shibata will be a part of that ass kicking.
Yes. Yep. And because it's 1:45 a.m. in the morning, I really don't want to spend any more time on that.
We can move on because after we get our bumpers for Dynamite and some other stuff happening on Rampage 2, we get into this baller main event for the TNT Championship. Adam Copeland versus Kyle O'Reilly have not necessarily been my favorites the last couple of weeks because it's either he's going a little slow or he's missing some paces or there's just some miscues. This was a freaking war between Copeland and Kyle.
This was
probably my favorite match of the whole entire 3-hour block. I'm not even going front. All the matches I thought were stellar, but there was just something about how gritty this fight was. It wasn't even a wrestling match. This was a straight up fight. This was a slobber knocker, as JR says. Holy crap. By the end of this was on television. This could have been on a pay-per-view.
It could have been a pay-per-view match. Totally. Yeah. Kyle O'Reilly. I'm a fan. I've seen him, my first introduction was from Kyle O'Reilly. With Kyle O'Reilly was when he came back and he did that thing, and I was like, "Who's this guy? And why is he hugging?
Where?
Yeah, and why is he hugging?
Who's this?
Right?" But since then, in the ring, I am just amazed. This match with Adam Copeland, it just seemed like every move Adam Copeland had, Kyle O'Reilly had a counter. And not only did he have a counter, but it was a visually fantastic and entertaining counter. It was good. It was really good. I'm going to disagree with Mikey. I have liked Adam Copeland's, but this one totally could have been on a pay-per-view. Had a lot of energy. Again, I felt that the Vancouver crowd, they had that symbiotic relationship going, especially because Kyle was the hometown hero.
So Theater Callum really quickly. So the funny thing is I know how great Kyle is. I am only one of the 3 hosts that continues to watch NXT, but also watched it during the Black and Gold era. Adolfo has not, but he is catching up slowly because Adolfo is a man of the peoples and he is doing his research. In fact, he's one of the only boys that really does his research around here. But yeah, Adolfo, if you get a chance, I am going to send you a list. You know what? No, when I see you in a couple of days, I'm going to compile a list in person of NXT matches for you to watch at Kyle because those NXT matches are fantastic.
I'll do it. But yeah, this was a great main event match. I was very surprised that we did not have some sort of House of Black, guest appearance or something like that, which I was kind of bummed out about. But at the same time, I was happy that it didn't happen, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, though, and we can actually talk about this. So Adam Copeland wins. This was a phenomenal match. Though I think the House of Black is slowly having an influence too on Copeland because, he hugged. It bleeds into Rampage because 3 hour block, it bleeds into Rampage. And so we get to see the aftermath in which Copeland hugs Kyle after the match, gives him kudos, raises his hand. But then Edge will not let go of Kyle. And it takes Kyle kind of yanking his arm away from Copeland. And I was just like, the House of Black is influencing Copeland. I'm telling you, after you get misted, you never stay the same again, which we could throw this here because we don't have to wait till we get to it. Because of how crazy the war has been with Copeland and the House of Black during this Rampage block, Copeland cuts his backstage promo. And we get what we've been wanting. Him and Malachi Black will be going up against each other for the TNT Championship at Double or Nothing. But Copeland raises the stakes because this championship match is going to be a barbed wire steel cage match. And I'm like, I don't know how that works, but I'm here for my violence. I'm very calm and I'm a very zen person. But it's those calm ones you got to look out for because I have a propensity for violence and I'm here for violent bloodiness if it's done right.
I want to give kudos to Adam Copeland and his acting on the entertainment side of this after the match with the hug and holding on. And he got this crazy look on his face. He started bleeding from his mouth and then he snapped out of it. And he did this whole thing where of slow realization of, oh my God, what's going on with me as he walked up the ramp and out. It was he sold it really well. I thought it was great acting on his part. So then when he came back and he did that and he cut that promo, I'm very excited. This is where the story has kind of been leading us to, is Cope versus Malachi Black. Although I don't think it's technically official because on Wednesday night, that's when Malachi is answering Copeland's challenge for the match. So,
well, we're going to have to tune in on Dynamite because those two are going to have a face-off and we'll see if Malachi agrees to Copeland's stipulation. And I'm super excited for it. This is going to be great, which then kind of kicks off Rampage proper because we're backstage with the best backstage correspondent outside of Renee Paquette in Lexi Nair. I love Lexi. So she's backstage and she talks to Claudio Castagnoli. And we talked about this earlier when we were talking about the opener for Collision, because Claudio is not going anywhere near this Anarchy in the Arena match because he wants to respect Bryan Daniels' wishes. Bryan Danielson wants to do his own thing with the time he has left in his career, and he's not going to get involved because he's going to let Danielson handle business he can. So that makes me wonder, I'm like, Claudio, do you get involved later in that match?
Well, the thing Claudio was saying is that the last Anarchy in the Arena match that Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston were a part of was when Bryan Danielson got hurt and was told that he might not wrestle again. So Claudio, he, like you said, he wants to respect Bryan's wishes, but he does not agree with Bryan Danielson doing this match. He's not going to either stand in his way or help him. I thought it was interesting. Of all the backstage promos I've seen Claudio do, I feel like this was the best one he did because it felt very emotional. It felt real. It felt like some kayfabe was bleeding in, because he did make that statement that this is Bryan's last year and Bryan is calling the shot for the matches that he wants to wrestle, and that's fine. But I don't want anything to do with this one because of what happened the last time he was in this type of match. So I dug it.
It was. Which then leads us to our first match in this Rampage, where we have Trent Beretta taking on boys Dalton Castle, the Prince of the Peacock Power Prince himself. Man, I'm not gonna lie, Adolfo. As soon as I saw this on the Rampage match card, I got bummed. I was like, Trent's gonna win. Once again, ROH talent's gonna get like the shaft.
ROH cannon fodder coming down.
Cannon fodder, but damn it, this match was really good. I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm really happy that they let Dalton do his full entrance. You know, I was really worried that Trent was going to do the thing where he was just going to jump in and start beating on Dalton. So it was good to see Dalton do the whole thing with the boys and everything. And it was not a squash match. It was a wrestling match. It was a wrestling match. It was a very entertaining wrestling match. It set the pace. You know, you had, if anything, I think it put Dalton Castle over with AEW fans because the crowd was chanting his name. You know, they were really behind him, and he looked good. He looked really good. So, you know, hopefully this means that we'll start seeing Dalton Castle a little bit more on AEW television, and not just as cannon fodder, as ROH cannon fodder, as, you know, actually moving up the ranks.
Exactly. Trent Beretta does pick up the win by, you know, getting the 1-2-3 on Dalton Castle, and continues to build momentum in this really weird story that we're building between him and Orange Cassidy, where Don Vallis is interested in Orange and not necessarily Trent. We discussed it on the Dynamite review, so we're not going to hash it out here. So we cut backstage. Deonna Purrazzo cuts a promo, and it serves two purposes. It sets up her match with Lady Frost later in the evening, but it continues this through line that Deonna and Thunder are going to whoop each other the next time they see each other. And spoiler alert, we almost had it go down tonight a little bit. Deonna versus Thunder is a feud that I didn't know I wanted until we started getting it like 2 weeks ago. It's going to be fantastic. I'm ready for round 2 as well. But speaking of things that I was ready for, Bounty Hunter Brian Keith was on this episode of Rampage. He had a match against JD Drake, and I feel that AEW is listening to us because they did everything that I've been asking for them. Present Brian Keith and remind everyone, oh yeah, why should we support this dude? Here's why. This match, for as short as it was, my God, this is everything that I wanted, and this is the version of Brian Keith that I've been a fan of on the independent scene. And I need this version of Brian Keith every time he pops up at the screen so I can tell the ROH boys that I know what I'm talking about, because the presentation so far hasn't been it. But this is how I want to see Brian Keith be booked in AEW. This was really great match. JD Drake is always great every time he steps into the ring.
Isn't JD Drake one of the workhorsemen?
He is a workhorse man at the moment because his tag team partner Anthony Green is out on injury with a broken jaw.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's not the workhorse men, and he is now a workhorse man.
Because I saw that promo that he cut on ROH where he was like, I'm a workhorse man and I'm going to start doing things for myself.
That was a tough promo to watch because he repeated himself a lot, but the point of it still stands.
Yeah. So when I saw him come out as JD Drake and not one of the workhorsemen, it took me a moment, but I was like, "Oh, that's right. You're doing things for
you." Go, boo boo. This was a fun match. This is great. Bounty Hunter Brian Keith picks up the win. Give me more of this. So then we already covered Adam Copeland's promo, setting up a match for Double or Nothing. Which then we get into our second women's match of this 3-hour block. Deonna Purrazzo versus Lady Frost. My God, these two women brought it to the ring. I thought they were, my gosh, this was so good.
I am really happy that they are letting Deonna Purrazzo embrace the dark side. I believe, Mikey, it was you that had made the statement.
Heel Deonna is the best heel Deonna.
Yep. And yes, I agree, because heel Deonna has been really good. She worked really well with Lady Frost because she was able to show that technical side that makes her virtuosa, you know, but at the same time, you know, good match. Deonna Purrazzo, she gets the 1-2-3, to which then Thunder Rosa comes out with a steel chair and chases Deonna Purrazzo out, which was great because, like any scorned Latina, security had to hold back Thunder Rosa.
Me and Adolfo are very familiar with spicy Latina women because whether we have siblings or las madres or, you know, for one of us are married to spicy Latino women, just spicy Latinas in general, it is, you better get out the way, because forget hold the earrings. They will throw a chancla at you. They will throw a wooden, listen, a chancla is the least of your worries. If you dodge the chancla, you better just take the chancla hit, because if you try to dodge, the next step is they'll throw a wooden spoon at you, and
you do not want that wooden spoon.
No, you do not, but I cannot wait until Deanna and Thunder collide officially. I need it in my life. It's going to be so fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to brush through this really quickly. We've got like a weird rap video for the Acclaim, kind of. I'm just like, I love the Acclaim, but this was okay. This was weird. It was filler, which then leads us to our main event, Johnny TV versus Pac. I literally melted by the end of this match, Adolfo. I was just like, oh my gosh.
I didn't realize I wanted this match in my life, and I got it in my life, and I'm a better human for it.
I knew Pac was fantastic in the ring, and he didn't prove me wrong. But Johnny TV, man, we gotta stop sleeping on Johnny TV, because I'm like, oh yeah, Johnny, you are actually really good too.
Yeah, and on ROH, at least the ROH matches that I've seen him wrestle, he's looked good, but they've been like squash matches or
it's been more like leaning him into his character.
Right, exactly.
And this was more leaning towards his professional wrestling ability.
Right. And this was like him actually having to wrestle. And it was, dare I say, this match could have been on a pay-per-view. Maybe 0 hour, right? But this match could have been on a pay-per-view. It was really entertaining. Pac and Johnny TV and Taya worked really well together. I didn't think they were going to work that good together, and thoroughly entertained by this match.
I know. There's not enough words in the English dictionary for me to describe of how amazing this match was. Pac does pick up the victory, and we end Rampage on the Titantron, where the Bang Bang Gang are continuing to mess with Pac a little bit. And Jay White tells Pac, if he keeps getting in the middle of his business, he's going to regret it. And then the Bang Bang Gang hold up the guns up for everyone as Rampage goes off the air this week. I am looking forward to Pac versus Jay White whenever we're going to get that, because
that's coming.
My body's not ready for that match.
With what happened at the end of Rampage, that's where this is going. So let's start stoking that fire now. I'm ready for it.
Oh, I'm super excited. But Adolfo, that does bring us to the end of another 3-hour block of AEW programming.
Yep.
So with Collision and Rampage being put together this week, let's go into our empanada ratings. So for those of you who are unaware, here at the BC WrestlePod, when we rate our reviews for whether it be the TV shows or the pay-per-views, we use the empanada scale. So I will go first. I'm actually going to give this a 3-hour block, and 8 out of 10 empanadas for me. Okay. I really enjoyed all the wrestling in this. And honestly, wasn't necessarily a bad match for me this week, even though there was a couple of squash matches, but everything kind of clicked for me. The pacing was great. The matches were great time. I give this a solid 8 out of 10. And also the prospect of what we're teasing for, not just Double or Nothing, but the next AEW pay-per-view that comes after this, as Theater Callum points out, so much wrestling in one evening, because not only are we setting up for Double or Nothing, but we're also having AEW folks tonight over at the New Japan show, which is literally in my backyard, but I decided not to go because, reasons. But there's a lot of wrestling going on, and we're setting up for Forbidden Door, so the possibilities of what we're getting at Double or Nothing and Forbidden Door is going to be great. But I give this an 8 out of 10. Thought this was a fantastic.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Empanadas. It was 3 hours that when it was over, I was like, that wasn't 3 hours. That was 3 hours.
Collision came back to form of what we know and love.
Yeah. So it was good. It got me pumped up for the upcoming AEW stuff. There it is.
Fantastic. So before me and Adolfo sign off for the evening, just to give this announcement really quickly, as this is the only live stream thing that is happening this week, but You can allegedly. So we don't know yet. But as of right now, the SmackDown review, it will be the last thing that will be released. And then starting next week, we will have a Monday Night Raw review and an NXT review. But then next week, the rest of the shows are going to be going dark. The reason why is that the East Coast Collective, which is Adolfo, JVL, and Jesse, along with myself, will all be at the New Jersey Wrestle Show. So convention, whatever you want to call it. We're going to have a table there for BC Wrestle Pod. It's going to be a fantastic time, which means that outside of Raw and NXT next week, all the other shows will be going dark. So no Dynamite, no TNA, no Ring of Honor review, no Collision, and no Rampage. And we got notified at the end of Rampage that at Collision and Rampage we're going to be another 3-hour block. So
yep, Saturday night there's a Warriors of Wrestling going on after the con, so that we're going to go to. So and we're probably going to do a little tidbit from that. So, and you might see an ROH live with
we're going to figure
Mikey,
something
JVL,
out.
And Jesse here. Imagine them here next to me.
We're going to crowd Adolfo. We're going to make him a sandwich.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Figuratively and literally, we're going to turn him into a human sandwich. But on that lovely imagery, me and Adolfo are going to get up on out of here. So thank you for tuning in to this live edition of Collision and Rampage. And from myself, Adolfo, and the rest of the BC WrestlePod boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, but more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you on the flip side. But until then, ta-ta for now.
Billy Starks outro.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.